Hey guys, one guy fishing for fun here. How is it going? Normally I'd be posting a video of catching fish, any species really, but sadly today is all thunderstorms for where I live. So instead I'm gonna talk a little bit. I'm gonna give you some fishing stories, tell you upcoming plans, stuff like that. Sorry for the noise. That's my husky puppy. He's on her. Anyway, so first things first. Upcoming plans. I am gonna attempt to set a schedule of 2 to 3 videos a week minimum. That's the minimum. Like, if I post a video every day during the week, that's awesome. If I don't, like I said, 2 to 3 videos minimum a week. I always try to push out good content and stuff like that. I may even start doing tutorials. It just depends. Comment down below if you think a tutorial would be a good idea or a how-to, and I'll definitely start doing that. Sorry, helicopters flying over. That's normally not a good thing. But anyway, upcoming plans. So me and my fiance are going to St. Peter's, Florida in the second week of July of this year. And obviously we're going down there to get away from stress. I would have graduated EMT class. If you guys saw one of my first videos, I was actually went fishing in my EMT student uniform. But we're going down to St. Petersburg, Florida, and I will be doing some fishing down there. Whether it's saltwater or freshwater, I'm not quite sure yet. I've done a little research on St. Peter's. I know they have saltwater fishing. I know they have pier fishing, bank fishing, canal fishing, and I could have swore I read somewhere that they had freshwater fishing, but that could be wrong. So don't judge me based on that. Let's see here. As far as upcoming events, nothing really, just intense. Going to be pushing out a lot of videos, like I said. And then, yeah, that's about it. Fishing. Alright, now time for some fishing stories. Now, I want you guys to comment down below and tell me what you think this was, okay? Me and my uncle were at the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri, and we were bass fishing. We'd been bass fishing all day. We were practicing for an upcoming bass tournament. And I really wish I had this channel and this GoPro for all that, because I used to do a lot of bass tournaments and stuff like that. But I didn't have all this at the time, nor was I doing this channel, so hopefully I can get back into that at some point. Anyway, we were bass fishing, had been all day. It was later in the evening. We were taking a break, and we were trolling with lipless crankbaits. Okay, I believe they were shad colored. They might have had the chrome underbelly or the white underbelly. I can't quite remember. It's been a while ago. And we'd gotten snagged a few times doing this, no big deal. Turn around, go up to where you got snagged and get your hook off. Well, he was on the phone and he was driving the boat. And, the way we troll is we didn't have a real fancy setup, so we just hold our poles out the side of the boat, on each side, one pole each. And, so we're trolling, and just all of a sudden my rod tip just and stays firm. And it felt like a log or a rock. It's like, hey, I'm snagged. He said, no problem. We get the boat turned around. We're going up to it. Because most of the time, guys, when you snagged, if you can just get a different angle to pull from, most of the time, it comes loose. So that was the goal there. We get going, and we get up to where my line is straight up and down. We are basically above where I have snagged. And all of a sudden, my line starts taking off, that iconic zzz sound. And without me even doing anything, it was spooling off so fast that it just snapped. Like, in the process of spooling off, it snapped. It's not because, I got spooled or anything like that. It didn't snap down low. Like, it wasn't from a fish going down in the brush or cover or anything. Sorry, I touched my face a lot. I've got allergies. My line snapped. To this day, we don't know what that was, but we were using 20 pound line, I believe, 20 pound mono. So, like I said, comment down below. Tell me what you think it was. Turtle, striper, catfish, whatever. Let me know what you think. Another fishing story. This came from when I was just a young pup, and I was fishing with my father at Bagnell Dam, which is the dam that separates the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri from the Osage River. And when people say they're fishing at Bagnell Dam, that means they're fishing below the dam at the start of the Osage River. And we were fishing there, and it was cold and wet, raining, and like I said, I had to be like 14, 15, something like that. And I had a raincoat on, and I had found a spot where it was kind of like a little point, and then the current, I'll put my hand like this so you guys can see. It was like a curved point like this, and then the current would go over like this, and then this spot right here, there was no current. There's no whirlpools either, but it was just kind of like dead water. And what I had done is I had a grub with a spinning tail. I can't quite remember the name of it, but basically it was a white grub, about 1 inch long with about 1 inch curly tail, and I put that on a bobber, and I just casted that right in that dead space. And I don't know why, but I guess it was a mixture of, it was cold, I was tired, we had gotten up at like 4 o'clock in the morning that day to get up there, so we'd have as much daylight as possible. I was wet, raincoat was leaking. I doze off. I wake up, and the pole's still in my hand and everything, but I look down where I'd put the bobber. Bobber wasn't there. And so I was like, oh man, like, it didn't register at first, I think because I was still kind of asleep. And then I was like, oh, it's a fish. And I reeled down and I set the hook. And guys, this was like a 6-foot Walmart $30 bass fishing pole. Like, there was nothing special about it. It was cheap because I was a kid, and Dad didn't want to jip on buying me a really expensive pole yet. And I believe it was like 12-pound line. It was just the bare necessities type of thing. I reeled in a 38-pound Asian carp. I fought it like, when I set the hook, the fish took off, went into the current. I fought it for probably 20 minutes before I got it in. And we weighed it, and like, there were other anglers on the rocks fishing, and they just could not believe, like, they were looking at this little kid with this little basic pole who just caught this big fish, and they were dumbfounded. Of course, my dad was proud as could be, but you know, weird things happen. Sometimes good, like that story for example, sometimes bad, like the first story where we didn't even get to see the fish and we lost probably a $4 lure, which that's always a bad day. And I'm gonna finish it off with one more story. Me and my family took trips down to South Padre Island. It's in Texas. It's on the Gulf side. And we were at a place called the Bob Hall Fishing Pier. Bob Hall was a really cool place. It was a pier. You didn't have to go like to a tackle store or a bait store and buy a fishing license. The pier had worked out a system with the government of Texas? I don't know. Anyway, so if you paid to fish on the pier, you were fishing under the pier's fishing license. So that was the first time I had ever heard anything like that, and that was pretty cool. Excuse me. Excuse me again. And that was pretty cool. So we go there, and we're a couple guys from Missouri. We got heavy duty catfish rods, and with like 50-pound line. And normally our rods dwarf other Missourian people's rods most of the time. I mean, they could either have the same setup or a better setup than what we use. I'm sure you've seen. Oh, I've only used them in one video so far, but it's I can't think of them. We get them at Walmart and stuff. It's nothing too fancy, but it's like hog hunting or catfish mojo, little things like that. And when we got there, guys, those poles that the local pier anglers used made our fishing poles look like toothpicks. Sorry, I kind of coughed a little bit. Made our fishing poles look like toothpicks. And they were throwing weights that looked like shot puts, if you know track terms, or like a cannonball, basically. Just absolutely blew us away. And like another really cool thing is these guys would have like this little trout pole, little 3-foot pole with a weight and a hook. And I'm like, what are they using that for? And I watched, and what they would do is there's these guys that were below the pier in kayaks, and they would use those little poles to lower down money to the kayakers. And then after the kayakers got the money, they would lower down their weight and their bait, and then the kayakers would just take off out towards, open water, and then drop the bait and the weight wherever the angler wanted it. Like they would sound an air horn or beat on a pole, whatever. I, coming from Missouri, had never seen anything like that before. That was pretty cool, and just like the fact that they came up with the system, like, yeah, we can't cast this far, what can we do? Oh, I got it. Let's have a guy in a kayak paddle our bait out there. And they actually have a term for them down there called yackers. So if you're ever down there and you see a guy in a kayak, that's what they're doing. Anyway, so we get to fishing, and we were catching bonnethead sharks, which is very interesting. It's like a hammerhead shark, but the head of the shark looks like a spade shovel. And we were catching black tip sharks, and on top water we had used squid, I believe. Yeah, squid on the bottom, and that's what we were catching, the bonnethead. And then we'd throw top water with a leader and a hook of squid and catch the black tips. Pretty sure they were black tips. I think so. But really cool experience, guys. If you've never been shark fishing, I suggest you go. They are probably one of the hardest fighting fish I have ever fought. And I've caught big catfish, I've caught sturgeon. They're streamlined, and all that energy for catching prey and all that, they use all of it to try to get away. And after my first, like, I wouldn't say a big shark, but after my first like 4-footer, my arms were burning. I was ready to call it a day, but I was just like, the adrenaline had me so pumped. I'm like, let's get another one going. Let's do this. And the main reason I brought all this up is because my brother, who was using the same type of poles we were, these poles start out at probably a little bit smaller than a golf ball at the base. I mean, they're thick poles. And the way the pier is set up is the pier has these concrete slabs with, I'm assuming they're drain holes, but they're angled different directions, and they're just the right diameter to put your pole butts into them. And then you lean your poles up against the railing. Okay, well, he had done this, and I can't remember if he was bottom fishing or top fishing, but basically we're all sitting there, and we're telling fish stories and stuff like that, and letting our bait sit in the water. Well, I'm gonna try to simulate this. Like, this is the I just lost the name for it. This is the guardrail, okay, for the pier, and then the pole butt would be here, and it leaned up like this, okay? That heavy duty catfish pole just went like this and kept going and going and going until it almost made a full U. Two things. One, that's an incredible feat for that pole. It didn't break, it didn't splinter. We still use that pole to this day. And it made almost, 180, would that be 180? It almost made a full U. It definitely overextended the pole past what we had ever had it. But due to some complications and my brother not being very experienced, he was very young at the time, he lost the fish before we got to see what it even was. We don't know if it could have been a stingray, it could have been a big shark, it could have been some sort of other oceanic fish that we have no clue about. But anyway, cool experience. I suggest you guys go try it. And if you have comments about anything, about ideas I should do, about challenges I should do, or places I should go try to fish here in Missouri, leave that stuff below. I definitely read all of the comments. I do my best to reply to most of them. Hit that like button for this video so I know that you guys like this little vlog of non-fishing but just talking. That when you hit that like button, that lets me know, hey, you guys like this, and that means I'll put out more videos like this one. I might do comment below also if you want me to do how-to videos, how to tie fishing knot, how I do my setups when I'm like heavy fishing for like catfish, or like in the last video for that sturgeon. Yeah, comment below, tell me what you guys think, hit that like button. If you want to keep watching my videos and stuff like that, hit that subscribe button. That way every time I put out a video, you get the notification about it, and you get to watch more content from yours truly. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This is one guy fishing for fun, signing out.